Rise is actually an acronym. It stands for Revive, Inspire, Shepherd, Empower. So Revive, we want to get you out of pain, get you feeling better. We want to inspire you to change your lifestyle. We want to shepherd you to that. So we do it too. We're going to lead you to it and lead by example, and then empower you with tools and education to be able to optimize your own life and not rely on me forever. It's supposed to be a turning point more than anything.
The Buzz on Better Business podcast, positioning your business as one that is trustworthy, is something that we all know is important. But what does it actually take to accomplish this? Join your BBB each month as we unveil the world of local accredited businesses who have it mastered and have positioned themselves as ethical leaders in our Acadiana marketplace. Thank you for joining us for our third episode of The Buzz on Better Business, where we're looking into those accredited businesses, those trustworthy businesses right here in Acadiana. This episode joined by Dr. Brennon Kelly with Rise Chiropractic over there in Broussard, running a great chiropractic business. Today he's going to share with us not only where he's from and all of the schools that he went to in his education, something about Gonstead he's going to tell us about, make us, educate us a little bit, which is a big part of what they do. And we even put a little plug in there for an escape room, but you'll find out more. Dr. Brennon Kelly, thank you for joining us. Owner, chiropractor, probably some other things after that, Rise Chiropractic in Broussard. Personally came across your practice, I guess it was years ago now. There should be some kind of chart on who's the longest customers or patients. But thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. My pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I was nominated in an unconventional way, but
you were.
I felt it inside, and then Christian just brought it out to the surface. So.
Yeah, a board member of BBB, which I'm sure we'll get into. You proponent of BBB, obviously that's something that's been important to you guys. But I could always tell from just a little bit of background for everybody, on how this came about. So we have membership representatives at the BBB, came across Brennon, and he said, you know what, let me give a lunch and learn to your staff.
Who won it? Was it Bridget?
It was, I think it was Bridget.
Bridget won it.
Came by, gave a lunch and learn, and just how genuine you guys were. Just really felt like, man, this is some good guys trying to help people out, make a difference in people's lives. And went to an assessment, and I was like, I've never been to a chiropractor. Didn't know anything about it. Didn't want to know anything about it until I met you, And then I went, and you were like, yeah, we got some stuff we can work on in there. And that was at least 2 years ago.
If not more.
And yeah. It's been an exciting time. But let's just jump into before you were Dr. Brennon Kelly, you were just Brennon Kelly. And from here in Acadiana?
Yes, and I think it's important to say that I'm still just Brennon Kelly, and I'm not just saying that. The doctor thing still sounds weird to me. Like I carry, I guess, a professional title so that I can be trustworthy in my marketplace, right. But I actually don't identify with that as much as you might think. So yeah. I tend to just tell people to call me, either Dr. B or Brennon. It's never Dr. Kelly and all this stuff. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's a bit of an uncomfortable point that I need to become more comfortable with. But before Dr. Brennon, it was Brennon Kelly. I was born and raised in Lafayette. I went to St. Thomas More High School, graduated in 2008. And immediately moved away to Jackson, Mississippi. I attended Millsaps College for a couple of years, and I was studying pre-med. At the time, they had really good, I believe they still do, pre-med or medical school acceptance rates, like to the tune of 75%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so which typically from a state school, you're looking at I might need to fact check these numbers, but 15% or maybe even less of applicant. Yeah, it's a super competitive field, right? So when I saw that number, I said, okay, that's really cool. I also had an interest in playing football, and it's a Division III school, and so I got to sort of, I had the itch. I wanted to continue. I didn't want to quit after high school, so I was able to do that as well, and which was an amazing experience, and has a lot to do with some of the character traits that I think I carry today, things that I learned through that process. So after 2 years, I had a terrible knee injury, and I came back to Lafayette, had surgery, and it was repaired, and I went through the whole rehab process and spring training the next year, and I lost that itch. So I said, you know what, I really would just want to focus on the academic portion.
Yeah.
UL had a really strong kinesiology program, exercise science, that Millsaps didn't have. And once I had figured out that I wanted to be a chiropractor and not a medical doctor or something like that, that seemed like a more appropriate step. And with TOPS and everything, it was a no-brainer to come back come back home. So graduated UL 2013 in exercise science. And then immediately, well, I say immediately, a few months off or so, I was working for a chiropractor locally, just gaining experience. Went to Life University in Atlanta, Georgia, in 2014, finished in December of 2017, and then came back here February 2018 and started hitting the ground running. So our doors were open on June 4th of 2018, but I was seeing patients prior to that. I was doing like a contractorship out of the Natural Birth House in Broussard, and I guess that's kind of how we ended up getting localized to Broussard. I was walking down the street doing business to business, just trying to meet people.
Right.
Say, hey, I'd love to do a lunch and learn. I'd love to, come whatever with you guys, because that's how we built our practice, was those lunch and learn style educational opportunities. And I just saw an open space. And while we were negotiating a lease in Lafayette, I saw this space in Broussard just by chance. And I think it was divine intervention. The other company was kind of dragging their feet. Boom, they wanted to move right away. So we ended up in Broussard, and the rest is history. So we just made 5 years this month.
Wow.
In Broussard, Rise.
And you guys are growing. So, I mean, I'm on a care plan now, obviously, going once a month. Initially it was every week and felt like family almost catching up, but it still feels that way. And that was something that I recognized when I met you, when you came into the office. I'd never met you before. New business, looking to become accredited, wanting to be more trustworthy, like, look, we're doing the right things. We just want people to know they can trust us and, put their care into our hands. And you came share with us, like you said, lunch and learn. People don't know what they don't know. So in a way, you're kind of telling people you might have a good need for this. We can really help you out. Let us educate you on it, from an educational perspective, more than a sales perspective, which is how I always felt. And I was just blown away by that, and have been seeing you and your team since. Great staff you've got over there. But y'all have moved even since then, the initial move in Broussard, to an even larger office now.
Yeah, so the goal for that initial practice was to stay humble. And I look back on it, and I'm like, man, it could have been even more humble than that,
Yeah.
So once we got to a point where we were maximizing the space that we had there, and it was time. We needed to make an investment in a larger facility. And then my cousin joined me in practice. He graduated. He started chiropractic school as I was finishing. So that was the lead time for me to basically launch the Rise project. And
right.
then when he graduated, the vision was to always get him in the same office, and that space just did not accommodate that. So we needed the larger facility, and luckily it was just, my landlord was super workable, and again, just a divine thing where God just laid it out, and it was really easy. We kind of just followed that guidance. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Also, I wanted to ask, so you mentioned going to school, exercise science. When you were going to school for exercise science, had you already determined chiropractor? Like how did that come about? What interested you in that?
Yeah. So, I had shadowed and followed and researched several different healthcare professionals to finally come to the conclusion that I really liked the vibe of the chiropractic practice, the wellness, the family practice.
Right.
Instead of people coming in and, being really, sick and not wanting to be there. I mean, who wants to go to the doctor?
Right.
That's not something that culturally we,
I know, right?
Right. So the chiropractic office was the polar opposite. It was people in pain and sick and that too, and getting well and seeing results where maybe they didn't see results in other places, but
right.
It was also well people wanting to optimize, and that really that interested me, was taking people who had an intrinsic motivation to be the best version of themselves, both physically, mentally, with their health, and investing in something that could potentially make them even better than they thought they could be in terms of, brain function, body function, feeling really good, not just good.
Yeah.
So that's where the chiropractic interest came from, and then some mentorship, and that solidified.
Right.
When I was at UL in pre-med, I was a biology major. My advisor at the time had no clue anything about chiropractic, and when I told him that that's what I ultimately wanted to do, and I wanted to model my undergraduate curriculum to meet the prerequisites so that I could go in, because chiropractic, very, very similar to medical education in the first 2 years. And then you kind of specialize year 3 and start learning more clinical hands-on stuff at that point. But you got to have a lot of the same prereqs, and there's some differences. So I just wanted to make sure I was hitting all the marks, and I saw a couple holes in what the biology major was going to give me versus what the chiropractic school was saying you needed as prerequisites. He kind of laughed me out of the room. He didn't understand why I would pursue the chiropractic profession instead of just sticking to the medical. And I don't even remember the guy's name. I just remember thinking like, okay, well, there's got to be somebody at this university who can tell me what path to take to really be prepared for chiropractic school. Like the University of Minnesota, for example, has a pre-chiropractic program within their kinesiology department.
Oh, gotcha.
UL doesn't have that. So it was another goal of mine, or I guess a vision, that eventually we'd come back here, we could connect with the university, and I could help create that track for students who are interested. Because the kinesiology students, it's really, exercise science is a pre-professional degree. If you have an exercise science degree and you're going out into the workplace with your bachelor's, it's going to be tough to find something other than, a therapy tech for a physical therapy office, something like that, personal training. So really it's setting you up for the higher level education should you want to pursue it. But they don't talk much about chiropractic. Maybe they do now. I haven't been there in 10 years. But, UL graduate 10 years ago. Dang. It doesn't seem that long ago. But when I was there, that wasn't really one of the recommended professions from what I saw. Now I know they've connected with like Parker University since then, and which is chiropractic school in Dallas, and they come, and I know they've connected. But I wanted to come back and get with UL and kinesiology specifically, and figure out a way to maybe like shepherd students into a career that's extremely rewarding, very fruitful. I love my job. I'm not just saying that on the microphone, but I really do get a lot of fulfillment and enjoyment out of the work. And it's a lifetime pursuit. Like, you don't get bored. Like, you can always get better at adjusting and analyzing and helping people. Yeah.
Well, I know when I first came in, I mentioned, you guys, it seemed to approach it from an educational perspective versus a sales perspective. I don't just want somebody else that I can, collect funds from monthly to crack their back for them, but really educate people. And I was just blown away. And we came in not only for the assessment, but then I feel like there was like an orientation where it was like, look, we want to teach you all of this. That way you understand what we're doing, what we're striving for. And then all of the testimonials with, we've been working on this patient and it affected and improved this system within their body. And, I'm talking to the expert about what he taught me. But at that time, I was just like a lot of people who may be watching, saying they just kind of crack your back, right? Like, they just kind of crack it and keeps everything cool. So not only are you practicing in a specialized area of chiropractic, and you're going to have to, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, but the technique that you use, Gonstead? Okay. So that's different than just regular, from what I understand. So tell me about that. What had you pursue that? But then a little bit just about, for those watching, saying, they just crack your back, right?
Yeah, that's all good stuff. Let's unpack that a little bit. So I love that the first thing you mentioned was that you were given tools and education to be able to take it into your own hands. So RISE is actually an acronym. It stands for Revive, Inspire, Shepherd, Empower. So Revive, we want to get you out of pain, get you feeling better. We want to inspire you to change your lifestyle. We want to shepherd you to that. So we do it too. We're going to lead you to it and lead by example, and then empower you with tools and education to be able to optimize your own life and not rely on me forever. It's supposed to be a turning point more than anything, not a permanent Band-Aid, you crack it once a week. So that was where that came from. So I'm really glad you said that. The whole, just crack it thing, So there's a lot of benefits to mobilizing the spine. The same way, like if you're living a healthy, active lifestyle, you're movement is life. Like movement's great. We believe that you don't need to move every joint or bone in the spine. I believe that there are certain spots that are primary lesions, biomechanical problems that create a ripple effect because everything's connected. So if I have a hip that's a little off on the right side, then my rib cage might shift a little bit, my shoulder might drop a little bit, my head might tilt to compensate for that, right? So the compensations often lead to a lot of the aches and pains that we feel because of that imbalance.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So rather than just work on releasing all the muscles in the neck or, trying to just hit the high spots or push on the spots that feel stuck or like where there's tight muscles, we want to understand the way that the spine and the neuroskeleton works and how it's supposed to move and how old injuries affect that. And then create a plan to say, Chris, I looked at everything. I know you said that you get headaches and neck pain and, maybe your shoulder doesn't move on the right side as well as you might like. I also heard you mention that there were some digestive issues or whatever. And now this is totally fictitious, but I'm just making up an example.
Yeah, sure.
But also taking that organ system, that review of systems into account as well. Because what you'll see is that a lot of the people who come in with low back pain, who have, let's say, an L5 subluxation or a left hip problem, something in that low back that's creating pain and dysfunction, also have issues with normal, regular bowel movements. And that's not like a coincidence or a random pattern. It's because the nerves in that area that are protected by the spine and so closely involved with what the spine is doing there are affected whenever the spine is not well. And so you'll see that L5 not controlling the colon properly. So somebody doesn't have good nerve control or communication from the brain to the colon in this example, then they're not going to have regular bowel movements. So we try to put all of that together to create a more holistic approach to say, I heard the neck pain, the shoulder, this, that, and the other. But after looking at everything, a thermal image of your body and where the hot spots are and what that means about the nerves and if there's irritation or not, and then feeling your spine and feeling what's stuck, swollen, tender, etc., and then looking at an x-ray and understanding how the spine's supposed to look and move, I took all of that criteria and I think that L5 is your primary problem. So I know it's neck pain, but let's work on this L5 and let's see what happens. And many times, if we're on the right spot, a lot of this other stuff heals on its own.
Yeah.
So chiropractic's main premise is that the body is self-healing. That's what it's all about. So everything we're trying to do is to influence the nervous system positively so it can simply just start healing itself better. So I'm not treating bowel dysfunction. I'm not treating headaches or gallbladder problems or heart problems, but a lot of organ functions, to your point, get better under chiropractic care.
Sure.
Simply because you're removing a physical stressor from the nervous system, which is controlling those organs.
Yeah. I've always, personally been pretty blessed with, lack of major injuries and health issues. But, I noticed initially after those first probably few months, just really, and it sounds kind of so wild in a way, but just really kind of more put together, just things functioning more in sync. And we had shared that, through visits. And one thing I really appreciate now is as a patient going once a month, is that you assess individually that appointment based on multiple things. It's not just like, well, we keep working on this L5, so we're just going to keep pushing on that every month so that we can tell them we're working. You're looking at, and you're going to have to tell me, but temperature probe a lot of times, skin, which I never knew, like, is a blemish on the skin could be indicative of something going on under that. Also feeling, like you mentioned. So tell us about the art, I guess, that goes into each and every assessment, which I don't know how many people you're seeing in a day, but I know it's a lot.
Yeah. So it's not as many as you think. Otherwise, because it's been there before, just real quick. And we got to a point where we were too busy, and you've seen businesses who grow too fast and they explode. And I was fearful of that. We wanted to make sure that we never, ever, ever lost the quality of the care we were giving in an attempt to see more people, generate more revenue, whatever, because it's the long game. Your P&L might look good this year or next year, but 30 years from now, what's your reputation going to be like in the community?
Right.
My grandmother, Patty Heath, owns the ultimate dance supply store in Lafayette off of Vero.
Okay.
And I know I need to be saying Vero. So I'm gonna
if you watch Jordan's episode with Carter, you better say Vero.
I'm saying Vero. All right. And even though
he'll come at you.
Yeah. So, and the reason she, like Get Wet Shop was her main competition for the longest time. And it's just you go in and you buy dance supplies. And the reason she's still the only, I've asked her, I'm like, Gran, how are you still the only dance supply store, like physical, tangible dance supply store still in Lafayette? And she says, it's because you care about the customer. Like if you really care about them and meet their needs and listen to them and go out of your way for them, even if you might take a short-term hit or a loss or whatever, long game, 30 years from now, you're going to be the only one standing. And so I'm not saying that other chiropractors, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying for us, the reputation that we wanted to have, our stamp, was that it was the most specific, precise adjustment that you could get in the state of Louisiana. So the Gonstead method goes hand in hand with that. So to answer your question in a long wind, yes, every visit we examine. You could do it quickly. That gets to a point where you can.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
I'm not spending 30 minutes doing it. Like people have jobs, they got to get back to work. But what we're trying to do is use objective criteria to be able to figure out where there's a problem and work on it. I don't just want to intuition is a very good tool to use as a practitioner. I think there's an art form to being a doctor, whether you're a chiropractor, medical, whatever. There's an art form to it. There's an intuition. There's an experience thing that comes in to know what decisions to make, even without all the information. But having the information is vital. So we look at the same 5 criteria every time you come in, and it's all objective. So it's not how you feel or where your symptom is. We're not chasing pain. If you have shoulder pain, I may not be adjusting your shoulder.
Right.
I have to evaluate, is the shoulder actually stuck? Is it a problem, or is it your shoulder blade that's putting pressure on the shoulder? Is it your thoracic spine? Is it your hip? We got to do a thorough evaluation to see, to trace it to the root. Where is it all coming from?
Right.
And the way we do that is Clarence Gonstead laid out this system for us. Clarence Gonstead was arguably the greatest chiropractor, clinician who ever lived. Not the biggest practice, the most money or anything like that. He did well. But he had the reputation of just being the most skilled and being able to fix the most things. And I was attracted to that in school, and the fact that there was just no fluff with the technique. Like there was just an honesty, a trustworthiness about the doctors teaching the information that really attracted me.
Yeah.
That I started to learn the system. So the system is this. We use instrumentation, some form of thermal instrumentation, to figure out where the nervous system could potentially have a problem. Just because I see a hot spot on your skin doesn't mean that there's nerve pressure or irritation.
Right, okay.
Tons of things can change the surface of the skin. What we're looking at is about 5 millimeters beneath the surface of the skin in the dermal layer. That's the small blood vessels there, the arterioles, are controlled by the sympathetic nervous system. So to take the technical jargon out of that, basically the blood vessels in that area, we're measuring temperature there. It should be balanced on both sides. It should be just as hot on the left as it is on the right at this spinal level. If it's not, then that suggests that there could be improper nerve control to those blood vessels. So we use that as a way to say, here's our window into the nervous system. I can't just look at you and know what your nervous system is doing. Right. So this is like, oh, it really could be here. And be able to pinpoint the exact spinal level where the lesion is, rather than just putting my hands on 4 or 5 levels and pushing and hoping to get it. I've targeted this individual vertebra, and I see on an x-ray that, it's dropped back at this angle. It's about 20 degrees. It's rotated right, but the majority of the problem is a wedge on the right side of the disc. So that's going to totally change the way that I apply the thrust and the table that I select to adjust you on, to give you the most specific and appropriate adjustment possible. I love the story of, it's this parable, this old man, he's a ship technician. Have you heard it?
It's not ringing a bell. Not ringing a bell.
Okay, so there's this giant Titanic sized ship, and it's got a problem with the engine. And so they get all their guys on staff to go down, and they're trying to figure it out. Days pass, they can't figure it out. And they hire this guy who's supposedly the guru. And he goes in, he looks at the whole thing for an hour. He doesn't do anything. He's just looking. And then he says, I know what your problem is. And he walks up to this one spot, and he just thunks it right in on one spot on the engine. He just bangs it like the Fonzie or something. And the whole thing kicks back on, and the whole ship starts running again. He says, great, I'm done. Like, awesome. He sends him a bill in the mail, and it's for $1 million. And they're like, are you kidding me? I'm not going to pay you $1 million. All you did was walk up there and bunk it once, and that was it. I'm not paying. He's like, it's not about the bunk. It's about knowing where to hit it, you know. And it was my knowledge and experience that allowed me to pinpoint exactly where that issue was. That's a great point. Yeah, that affected the entire thing. And so I like that story because that's if I could be a certain type of chiropractor, that's what I'm shooting for every single time. Like, I want to boil it all down to the primary issue and fix that, and then get out of the way so that your body can take over again and start healing.
Yeah, that's I've heard maybe something similar to that, but that's absolutely right. You know, it's you know, the quality of what you guys provide, which of course is what you're striving for, but I can vouch for as a you know, long time you know, I don't want to say customer or patient now than anything. But your team, though, that you've surrounded yourself with, obviously is a huge part. And, you know, we've said, and my wife and daughter have been patients there as well. So we very experienced with you guys. And the team that you have, it's continued to grow, and you seem like you're adding great people to what was already kind of a core group of people that just really care. That's what you feel when you walk in, that they care about you. Somehow, even continuing to grow, they always know everybody's name. And it's not just my name, because I'll wait in the lobby for a minute, or, you know, visiting somebody else is walking in. They know everybody's name. It's like they pick up the story from where they were last time. So share a little bit about how important the team is for what you're able to accomplish over there.
Yeah. I get to get all the credit and be on the podcast and stuff, right? But my wife, Lauren, is the reason why Rise is where it's at today. She really glued everything together when I was stuck in the room. I say stuck. When I was in the room taking care of people, which is what I'm called to do. Mm-hmm. All of the logistics of keeping the thing rolling, and making sure that we were billing people properly, making sure that we were handling their scheduling needs and handling anything in the back office. She basically left her career, which she was doing very well at, to run the office. And it was all like on a dime. We had 2 team members leave us at the same time when we hit the 1 year mark, which is great. They both pursued better opportunities, and I was really happy I want my team to be able to,
absolutely,
grow and do what they need to do. But she kind of held all the pieces together and made sure that we were getting things moving again. When we hired, we wanted to make sure that everybody understood our core values, and I have Betsy to thank for this. So if you haven't listened to her episode, go listen to her episode. Yeah. But you know, our core values at Rise boils down to excellence, family. So we are a family practice. So not only do we take care of families, but we are a family. Like, my wife and I run the practice. My cousin, who's basically my brother, we grew up together in the sandbox, and his wife, we're the core 4 who run the practice. And so that's our family. And so we want to make sure our team also feels that as well. So we hire on those core values of being able to connect with people. Connectedness is a core value for us. Being servant-hearted is a core value for us. So if it's just not in your DNA to be a servant and to lead through service, then you may just not be a great fit for us. We want people who are going to connect with people, serve them at a level, because they feel that, like, they get, what's the word I'm looking for? I might need to cut that. They get fulfillment out of it, enjoyment out of it. They actually gain energy from taking care of people. Those are the people that we're looking for to hire in our office. And so the patients or the practice members have touch points with every single team member along the way. Yeah, like, sure. I don't want to just hire a receptionist or a billing specialist. I want to hire somebody who has an involvement or a direct role in getting this person from revive to empower, to getting them from day one when they come in broken, hopeless, think they have to live with this pain or this dysfunction for the rest of their life, to a point where they're self-sufficient again and they're optimized. I want my team to see that transformation, because honestly, that's what motivates me on a daily basis. Every day I walk in there, I'm a skeptic about chiropractic. I'm like, really? Is it all of this too? Like, it actually helps us all these? Yeah, I see it every single day, and it reaffirms me. And I almost need it, because I'm a very analytical, left brain, scientific type of guy. If it's not objective, it's hard for me to. So yeah, I want them to have that same experience of me, of actually seeing these people, how they come in, connecting with them. So they'll do a lot of the like the history taking, and they'll do a lot of things in addition to what I'm doing to help me take histories. They do all the scanning. My chiropractic assistants, our team members, have the ability to get certified to take X-rays. So the team actually takes the full spine X-rays for me. So they've gotten to a point where they can see an X-ray and read it. Like, they know what's normal, what's not. They know what to look for. They took the history. They'll oftentimes come up to me and say, hey, you might want to check out, he looks like he has a spondy at L5. And I'm like, oh, really? Okay, great. I'll check that out. Thanks.
Nice.
Yeah. So I think they enjoy that. When I was a chiropractic assistant, I had a thirst for knowledge. I wanted to know more. So the more you trust them and you give them, the more ownership they're going to have over the whole office, which not only helps the business, if your employees, if you want to call them that, are more bought in for the mission, but they actually get to see the results. So they're going to really be excited when a new patient comes in. They're going to be like, oh, wait, just wait. Like, you're going to love this. Just wait. I can't wait to figure out what this is and have him start working.
That's absolutely the impression you get. And let's talk about personal professional development. But before, let's not go too far. I just want to mention Lauren, first time mom about a year ago.
Yeah.
Just over a year ago.
Yeah. So Wells,
it's hard to keep up.
I know, man. He's 14 months.
Wow.
It's crazy. So iPhone has the little photo widget on the phone, and it'll give you just a random memory from like 3, 4, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So I'll see these recent memories and be like, oh yeah, I remember that day we were doing this, that, or the other. And I'm like, who is that kid? That's not what he looks like anymore. Like, he's got hair, flowing on the sides, and he's just a different kid. They change fast. So yeah, he's 14 months now, Wells. So Wells is actually named after my mom's dad, who is Patty Heath's former husband, who passed in 1967. My grandfather, Weldon Heath from Eunice, was an engineer for NASA and designed the fuel cell for the Apollo aircrafts. He was in the Smithsonian for like a decade.
All right.
Yeah. So my grandmother has this little fuel cell Smithsonian thing like on the shelf, but he passed way too early, and so his legacy lives on. And Wells was named after Weldon, so that's where he comes from.
So if you're ever in a group and play the two facts and a lie or whatever, use that one.
There you go.
Because nobody's going to believe
Right.
that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's super neat, man.
And I'm bad at those games. I can never think of like what to say. So thank you for the ammunition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But personal professional development, your team, great. I mean, they're just, when I first came to you guys, I think you gave me the tour of the office, or my family the tour of the office. And I don't know, it was maybe a year ago now. It's been a while, but it was a newer employee that I was witnessing giving a new patient a tour of the office. And I think I even mentioned after, I'm like, she is so passionate about this. Like, it's just bleeding off of her as she showed, and I don't remember who it was, or I'd give him a shout out, but
I wish I could remember.
It was just bleeding off of her how, excited she was for this person, not only to be there, but to be able to help them. So I guess talk just briefly, you kind of touched on it, but personal professional development, how much that's worked into not only creating, but sustaining that team.
Yeah, it's very intentional. I wouldn't say that I've mastered it, but I'm really, really trying to get better at developing leadership qualities in our team members. Like I said earlier, I want them to grow. I'm not trying to suffocate them. If they outgrow us, great. I would like to connect them to the next level or whatever, but I want Rise to be not just applied to health, but to other things too. And so I want my team, I want to get something out of it. I want my team to get something out of it too. I want them to feel excited to come to work because they know that they're always growing and there's always opportunities there, and they're never stuck.
Right.
Or just, working a 9 to 5 for a wage. Like, that's not what we want. So the way that we incorporate it in is we do, we kind of have like a book study club. So we just started recently this book called Leadership and Self-Deception by the Arbinger Institute. And it's like one of the top 3 business books type of thing. We've also read a book called Reality Check by Dr. Heidi Havik. She's a DC, a chiropractor, and a PhD in neuroscience. And so she basically connects the dots between, all of this spine and brain stuff and what we're actually doing to the brain beneficially from adjusting the spine properly. And that really gives them the layout of how I want them communicating to clients, to practice members, more about brain, not just about pain. And then, the other stuff, so the leadership qualities, I think is going to help them in either in difficult situations or just to be able to perform their duties better. The self-deception book is really interesting. Have you heard of that one?
I haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
It makes me want to go look it up.
It's good. It's an easy read. It's 200 pages. It's read like a story. And basically it's about how, we all are guilty of self-deception in that we think that the problem is other people when it's really us.
Yeah.
Because we're not holding our promises of doing what we know are the right things. I know that's really vague, but basically what he says is that, if I think it's the right thing to go out of my way to take care of Chris today, but I intentionally decide to do something other than that, either to benefit me or to whatever, or out of laziness, I basically I lie to myself. I deceive myself. I create a disconnect.
I got you. Okay.
And that ripples into your behavior for the rest of the day, the rest of the week. And so you're doing all of these things thinking you're justified and other people are wrong because it all started with a singular point where you were not consistent with your values or beliefs. And so you started deceiving yourself to think that you're right and everyone else is wrong. And how many times have you heard someone complain about work and say, it's that person, my boss is this, that, and the other, or my coworkers just aren't getting it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so it tries to deconstruct all of that and bring us back to holding ourselves accountable. So that's where we're at right now. Other than the book club or the study club that we have, we'll go to conferences and things like that as well.
Yeah.
I'm always trying new things to try to get us all better.
The development, not only as you as a practitioner, as a doctor, but, of the staff, I think holds so true to being closely related to, sustainability and being able to maintain the level that you guys are at. At the BBB, our staff, we're working on servant leadership stuff right now. It's, this makes people better.
What are you guys working on?
Well, we're working on through the association. We have some servant leadership modules that, some of it is videos that you watch. Some of it's reading material. We read Drew Brees' book over the holiday. So we're always incorporating whatever we can, whatever we can do to develop ourselves. And a lot of it, to be honest with you, because we get the professional development in the form of conferences and training modules and different things and learning specifics about BBB and processes. We spend a lot of our month-to-month development on personal stuff. Growing our staff as a team, the support, the resources within the walls that we're able to, help each other with. And we put a lot of effort into our hiring process. You got to identify the right candidate. And it's who has time to hire people? Nobody. There's no secret to it. You really just have to commit to the process to get the right people to grow the organization, which brings me to a side note. Volleyball team? How you guys still playing?
We just recently picked it back up again. Right. Where did that come from?
I was just thinking of the team. Yeah. We do team stuff. We actually went, we didn't replace our staff meeting, but we took a Friday afternoon a few weeks ago and we went battle the 13th Gate escape room together.
Nice. Okay, we do those too. Go ahead.
Okay.
I can't wait to tell you.
So the 13th Gate over there in Baton Rouge is just next level.
Which one did you do?
So over the years, last year we did the plane one, the flight, and then most recently we did.
Did you dig for gold?
We didn't do anything with gold yet.
Okay, all right.
But we did an asylum one with a mental asylum. So it's so well put together.
Oh my gosh, it's cinematic level escape room. We've done a ton of escape rooms. That's something we like to do, just hobby, but also that's the easiest thing to plan for a team building exercise. We've tried other things. This is the best thing that we've seen, at least until Top Golf is built here in Lafayette. It's mostly escape.
That's on our list,
right? So we went to 13th Gate earlier this year, early April, maybe late March. We did a little tsunami lunch date with the team, and we hit the 13th gate escape room as a reward for.
Then we did our escape room and sushi masa.
Right. Oh, okay. There you go.
Similar ideas.
So yeah, we did that because it was a reward for our team meeting the collections goal for the diaper drive we did in Q1.
There you go.
And we crushed it, like 4x'd what we'd set it out to do, and the goal we had set we thought was high. So that was a reward. In fact, we have another one coming up because yesterday, by the skin of our teeth on the due date, we just barely hit our goal for the canned food drive for Second Harvest at Rise. And so everybody was pumped leaving the office yesterday because we got to go and do the 13th gate again, and probably like Superior Grill in Baton Rouge.
Man, something. So many good things coming out of this. So I mentioned volleyball because of the teamwork.
Oh, yeah.
Just having fun as a team really helps grow as a family.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the escape rooms being so valuable. Like, man, you really learn people's communication style. Who's your note taker? Who's keeping everybody on track?
You figure out who you work well with.
Yeah. Who's just running around grabbing everything?
Right. What's your style?
That needs to be kind of put the bumpers up on the bowling lane a little bit. Just kind of help, keep them where they need to be.
You learn how people are going to behave during an apocalypse is what you learn during an escape game. It's like, oh, wow. Okay, so let me make sure I don't team up with them next time. Just kidding.
No, absolutely. I understand. But yeah, I mentioned the volleyball as part of the team building. I know, and I'm glad you mentioned this too. At the BBB, we have what we call our impact initiative. We volunteer on the community, nonprofits. Again, that servant. We want to serve. And as a nonprofit, we don't always have, the funds necessarily to donate to organizations, but we've always got time. So, but you bring up diaper drive, canned food drive. It's something I see routinely going in and out of there. You guys seem to be always collecting to help somebody else. So tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like 2015 or something. I listened to a podcast. I forget what the podcast was. It was a popular one, but they interviewed the guy who started Patagonia, and he was saying that like passion projects and purpose-based businesses are the ones that are winning. And so I guess I always had it in my head that like we weren't just going to go to work. Like we were going to do something that was going to also create impact in the community. And being that this is my hometown, it makes it easy to step up to that plate because I have a love for this place, for Acadiana,
sure.
for Broussard, for Lafayette, all the surrounding areas. I want to see it do well. I've been so excited the last few months or so, just seeing all of the commercial real estate development and the companies that are moving here and the chains that are opening up here. It's so cool to see things happening here. And, we need to figure out, all my friends moved across the country, we got to figure out how to keep talent here. And so to see the market grow like that, I think is
absolutely
really encouraging to have young people stay, to want to invest in this community and not just want to get out as soon as we graduate high school.
Absolutely. One of the and roles past, I guess, one of the volunteer things I took on was working with the workforce development committee with the chamber. And when I worked in Baton Rouge, did the same. I still lived here. I've always lived here, but that was one thing the workforce development committee is always striving for, is we've got all of these great people going to school. Not only do we want them to go to school here, get great educations and stay, we want them to go wherever they want to get whatever education it is they're looking for and come back.
Yeah.
And help really just grow the Acadiana. And I think we're starting to see that. If you go out in the Broussard Youngsville area and you haven't been there in years, I mean, you don't even recognize the infrastructure anymore.
Yeah, like
that's where I'm from. So
right. So I grew up playing CSA, and then we always played against BYYA.
Yeah,
that's not even a thing.
There. Yeah,
it's Broussard, and then it's Youngsville because it's grown so much.
Absolutely. And Arsenal Park, I think, serving some different purpose now.
Yeah, because it's St. Julian.
Yeah, it's man, there's just so much going on out there. We just recently had a networking social with the Broussard Chamber, and I mean, can't speak highly enough about the things they're doing out there. But you guys are doing great things. The goal of this podcast really is to just meet and sit down with owners and managers of businesses that are just doing the right thing, doing it the right way. That's typically one of the questions that I try to ask during the podcast is, so what does it take to run a trustworthy business that people know that they can? Well, we've been talking about that for 45, 50 minutes now. I mean, that's what you're doing at the heart and soul of Rise Chiropractic, is running a business that people can trust, that, giving back to the community. That's what we do at the Better Business Bureau. If you talk to John Williams, which I saw him recently, he said, BBB is the gold standard of, can we believe these people or not? You know, we rate businesses based on the standards, and those that are doing the right thing can become accredited. So Rise Chiropractic accredited business with us. And won't get too much into the history. We'll save that for another time. But everything we do is governed by a board of directors. Brennon's on our board, recently joined our board, and member, but we got 21 people on it. And we meet throughout the year, update you on what we're doing, take your feedback. So I guess share a little bit about why that was important to you to become involved with BBB.
Yeah, so BBB, I obviously knew what it was before coming back, starting a business. So I mean, it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. It's people know what it is. It's recognized. You guys obviously have a process that we go through to make sure that we're vetting people before we just stick them in a referral.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do the work for the consumer so that the consumer can just, you know, not have to worry about it, you know? So I can't imagine how many bad deals have been eliminated because of the BBB. And, you know, you're not tooting your own horn enough, but this Acadiana BBB is one of the top ranked from what I've just recently learned, like in the country.
You know,
right?
Well, actually, so if you look at our growth over the past 12 months compared to 96 other BBBs, yes, we are growth-wise number one.
Yeah, and if you ask any business, whether it's for-profit, nonprofit, whatever, how that even occurs, they're going to say it all comes back to the leadership. It's top down. The reason that I believe that this area's BBB does so well is first because of you.
Well, I appreciate that.
The reason I wanted to be a board member is because you approached me, and I know what kind of principles and integrity you have. I wanted to learn from you. That's why I joined the BBB board, because I'm serious.
Too much credit.
No, but I'm serious, man. Like I want to give credit where it's due, because my first board meeting, I didn't know what to expect. Y'all laid it out, and my thought was selfishly, man, I could copy a lot of this stuff, like just the procedures, the logistics, the way they run it, and just the way that things are handled. Like it's a no-brainer why the Acadiana BBB does so well. And obviously the team underneath you is amazing as
Phenomenal.
well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I think this BBB in particular is a really good one to be a part of. I can't speak for every city, and if I was in another city where it wasn't as strong, I don't know if I would be a member, but here I wouldn't pass it up.
Well, that's, we appreciate that. We don't take, compliments lightly. It's important to us to be good stewards of the opportunities we're given to support the community. And I'm just blessed to be in a role to help be a part of that and create a team that, again, going back to serving the community, we've got individuals that all individually want to make everything they're involved with better. And when you put that together, it's just proven to be, kind of an unstoppable force. And we're just looking to continue to grow, continue to be relevant, let people know that, communicate that. It's one of the reasons we started this podcast, because we would not be here if it weren't for the nearly 1,100 accredited businesses we have just in our 7 little parishes of Acadiana, 1,100 businesses. Our trustworthy marketplace is only trustworthy because of the good businesses like you guys. So that's why we started this podcast. We want to know, and how y'all doing this? How are good businesses being run out there? And I think back to what you're talking about with Patagonia, I think I have to wholeheartedly agree. You do things the right way with passion. You have some projects where you're giving back to people. I think that proves to be successful. Everybody wants to, not only does everybody want to do well, they want to be associated with good people. They want to be around other good people. And I think not only what we do at the BBB gives you a chance to do that, but I recognize that in you guys from the beginning. And, people are busy and they got a lot going on, and it's hard sometimes to carve out time in your schedule, but I look forward to going and see you guys every time I'm over there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure taking care of you. And, just to add to that point about the Patagonia thing, anybody can be a chiropractor. Like right. you could, I'm not saying you should do this, but in a hypothetical scenario, you could drop the BBB and go to chiropractic school. You know what I'm saying? You'd be a great chiropractor. Yeah. Anybody can sell something or do something. It's, why would clients choose you? We want clients to get more than the most specific appropriate adjustment, the chiropractic adjustment you can get in the state of Louisiana. We also want them to feel like they're a part of something bigger. Like if you're a client of mine, I don't want you to have to take the burden of figuring out what you're going to do to help the community. I just want you to step into my office and just join our team. Like you're an extension of Rise Chiropractic as a client of Rise Chiropractic, because if you came in and donated $5 to the diaper drive, there's a kid that somehow is connected to Faith House that now has a diaper. We want it to be that we want people to feel like they're a part of something bigger, and that the money they spend in our practice goes further than them just getting the health benefits, but also seeing an effect in the community as well. Yeah,
that's good, man. And you something else I've always enjoyed when I've mentioned, like, I got this muscle in my back that seems to continue to just get tight. You've got a network too of other people you work with that you trust. I mean, that's what it's all about, being, creating your network of people around you that, you can rely on, you feel comfortable putting your name on, recommending somebody. And I love being able to see that, not only through BBB as a network, but just personally putting that into action out in the community too. What's something, as we get close to wrapping this up, what's something that I didn't ask, or something you wanted to share, or maybe something nobody would ever think, nobody would ever know about Rise, or we'll just say Brennon?
I don't know, man.
Nice.
I don't know. I came in completely unprepared. I had no agenda. I was going to let you lead. So anything that you didn't touch.
Hey, Chris, I've got a couple bonus questions.
Yeah.
And hit us with a bonus.
And we can cut around this if need be. But it's no secret that, like, on social media, there's pretty large skepticism of your field. Do you, when it comes to potential clients, is that a challenge whenever they're coming into the door, and how do you fight that besides pointing at that BBB sticker that's on probably your front door?
Yeah, that's a great question. I welcome it, and those are actually my favorite people to work with, because I'm that guy. I just so happen to be working in the field as well. Like, I want to team up with you and say, what are your concerns? Not just about your body, but about what I'm going to do to you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to educate you for...
There's a heavy part of it, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Prior to even putting my hands on you, so that you know exactly what I'm finding, why it's a problem, how I'm going to fix it, how long it's going to take, what it's going to feel like. There's no surprises. Like, when I find I'm good at reading people. I can feel when somebody may not be telling me that they're really apprehensive about what we're about to do. And I try to approach that situation as gracefully as possible, even if it means not doing much on the first visit. I'd rather build that trust at the first visit, second visit, third visit, and then maybe once they're non-verbally, body language starting to open up to what's happening, like, I'm going to give this a chance. That's when we can really work on something and let the work speak for itself. I used to talk a lot more in the beginning when I wasn't as confident with my skill set and what I could do for people. Now I do a lot less talking, and I explain what I see. And like I said, it's an objective process. Like, that's why I was attracted to it, because there's none of this like, oh, just trust me, just lay on that table. Like, it's, it's like, no. Do you people get annoyed with me. They're like, all right, it's enough. Like, I get it. It's my left hip. It's rocked back and it's flared out, and you're going to push it up and in. I get it. Do it. So people know why I'm doing what I'm doing, but I don't just do that because I like talking about it. I was told by a mentor a long time ago, and it stuck with me, that if the patient can diagnose themselves, they own that problem. They're so much more likely to follow through with getting it taken care of than to just, like, walk in and blindly follow whatever recommendations you have. And I tell people limiting factors too. I'm like, listen, this is a fracture. This is from when you were a kid. This is only going to get so much better. I want you to understand that I expect you to still feel a little twinge every once in a while. It's just going to be 80% better. Is that fair? And they're like, I'll take 80%. So we try to set reasonable expectations. We try to educate people on what we're doing at a lay level so that it's not too technical, but they understand the problem and why they're there. And that seems to really, answer a lot of that skepticism, and the fact that, within the Gonstead work, I'm a diplomate. So I have diplomate status with the GCSS, the Gonstead Clinical Studies Society. I'm the only one in the state of Louisiana that has that. The closest one would be Dallas, Atlanta. If people are doing their research on chiropractic and they want my version of chiropractic, they, in that referral directory, like I have a stamp on my name there too, which is the BBB, just in a different way.
Yeah.
So at this point in my career, I don't get nearly as much of that as I used to, unless it's just like they called me by accident and they didn't like vet me or anything. And we try to bring them up to speed on what's going on with their body and how we're going to help them.
I love all that. And, you mentioned multiple times that you have this objective left brain. With that being said, true or false, John Mayer saved the Grateful Dead?
You're stalking me on social media, aren't you?
It's on your bio on their website.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're a massive Grateful Dead fan.
I was going to say, it's on my bio that John Mayer saved the Grateful Dead. No. This is on public record. I need to watch what I say. First of all, let me disclaim that I was born in the year 1990. So for me to say that I'm a deadhead is kind of silly. I understand. I've never been to a Dead show. I've seen covers. I've seen Bob Weir play, but unpopular opinion, I like the John Mayer thing.
Respect.
I do. And you know why? Because it got my wife into the Dead.
There you go.
So it was an easy conduit to get my wife into the jam band world. Yeah. So I'm a fan of John Mayer.
That's cool. Yeah. John Mayer, he's cool. Yeah, I'm down with that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Man, I'm really impressed too with how quickly he picked up the entire discography and started like jamming. And Bob Weir said it. He was like, the band has not had energy like this since Jerry passed, and we've had a lot of people step into that lead role. And they're what? They're like in their upper 60s, lower 70s.
Yeah, John's a savant.
Right.
Yeah. That's good stuff, man.
Hope I answered your question.
Well, here's your website we got on the screen if you're watching on YouTube.
Rise Chiropractic.
Acadiana.com.
That's it, riseacadiana.com. Dr. Brennon Kelly, I just call him Brennon. He likes to just be called Brennon. Dr. B as well. I think that's what they call you in the office mostly. So hit me with the acronym one more time because I don't remember it all. Rise stands for
Revive, Inspire, Shepherd, Empower.
It's a walk, and it's
and it never ends.
Why would you want to?
When do you stop pursuing health?
Somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, are you gonna get in the gym, lose 30 pounds, and then just say, I'm fixed. I'm not working out again.
Done.
No, you don't stop. Yeah, you don't stop brushing your teeth. You don't stop living a healthy lifestyle. You don't stop eating healthy, and it's all about balance.
That's awesome.
But yeah, chiropractic is a lifestyle, not just a treatment method. It's something that goes beyond the adjustment. It's like my brain's firing on all cylinders. I want the right food going in. I want to move now. I want to be well. And it's a different way of life,
So somebody listening, somebody watching says, you know what, kind of enlightened by all this information. I didn't realize all of this was tied to chiropractic. So what would you recommend they do? How do they get in touch? What does that look like? They walk in the door. They're like, look, I'm just curious. What happens?
If it was me, the easiest thing to do would just be pull up the Google map and just search Rise Chiropractic and click call, because that would be me. Some people prefer the website. We have a pretty well laid out website that'll bring you to a new patient portal. Click new patient, whatever. It'll ask you a quick questionnaire, and then it'll send the information to us so we can get in touch with you. The first day is about an hour long, where they come in, they get the information about who we are, what we do. We get the information from them about what's going on. We do all the objective findings, and then we adjust so that they walk out with some relief day one. We go over the majority of the findings at the second visit, and we present a plan of action so that there's accountability. It's not just like, hey, come when you feel like it. It's like, no, I'm a personal trainer. You've asked me to hit these health goals. I need to see you this, that, and the other, and this is what it costs. And then we give them options so that it meets their family budget. And then from there, all the groundwork is laid. It's just a matter of showing up for visits, working on the spine and the nervous system, and watching people get healthy again.
Yeah. It's been a great experience for me, very enlightening, my family as well. I know you guys are doing great things. Thanks so much for joining us on the podcast. I think we covered a lot of great stuff. You guys are doing great things, right there in Broussard, right here in Acadiana. We appreciate, not only you being on the board, your accredited business, and you guys helping us, maintain a trustworthy community of businesses. And, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I really hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for joining us. To help support the show, please like, share, follow us on whatever podcast application or even on YouTube, wherever you caught this episode at. If you want to find out more about the Better Business Bureau, you can contact us, 337-981-3497. You can find us on social media, BBB Acadiana. And as always, you can go to bbb.org for any information you're looking for. See you next time. Thank you so much for joining us.